My name is John O'Malley, and I'm over here at the Burlington Northern Santa Fe, also known as BNSF in Aurora. I chose them for my Go See It project because I have a friend who works here. It's a multi-billion-dollar corporation, and I know that Warren Buffett is a major shareholder. Unfortunately, my friend isn't here today like we had hoped. His vacation will be a little longer, but he did give me some useful information about internal controls, which we will talk about later. BNSF is a public company where its headquarters in Fort Worth, Texas. Today we're going to be talking about property, plant, and equipment, also known as PP&E. Property, plant, and equipment is a long-term asset, also known as a fixed asset, that is vital to business operations, and it can't be easily converted into cash. It's also a tangible asset, meaning it's physical in nature and it can be touched. Examples of BNSF property, plant, and equipment includes roads, lands, locomotives, heavy-duty equipment. BNSF also owns and operates railroad in 28 United States, including Illinois. Let's look at the balance sheet. We're not going to be focusing on assets. Those are going to be easily converted into cash. This is the balance sheet for 2019 first quarter. One thing to note is $260 million. Doesn't seem like a lot for a multi-billion-dollar corporation, but if you're going to utilize your cash efficiently, you don't want to have an excessive amount of it. If you do, you want to use it for investments. Account receivable, almost $2 billion, which means its products have been sold or services rendered that haven't been paid yet. That's an example of the revenue recognition principle. Now, talking about property, plant, and equipment. To come up with this number, you would have to take the gross PP&E plus capital expenditures minus the cumulative depreciation. Now, even though they came up with the net, they still listed the cumulative depreciation. That's an example of the full disclosure principle, which states that if it's information is important to an investor or even a lender, that information should be disclosed in the financial statement. We see that BNSF has recorded $63.179 billion in net property, plant, and equipment for the first quarter of 2019. When you compare that to BNSF's total assets of over $86 billion for the quarter, PP&E made up over the mass majority of the total assets. So as a result then, BNSF would be considered a capital-intensive company. This is a good indicator for the going concern principle because it shows that management has faith in the long-term profitability of its company. The growing concern principle concerns that a company will continue to exist long enough to carry out its objectives and commitments and will not liquidate in the near future. Let's talk about the controls and procedures. BNSF has what they call the code of conduct. Every employee has to read it and then sign it. And part of it stipulates that employees will not engage in fraud, theft, or misuse of BNSF assets. It also states that if you know about it, you're just as guilty if you don't report it. So they list several valuable reporting methods that's available to all employees. It also states that in accounting reporting must recount everything appropriately and accurately, and not to document things wrong that are assets, liabilities, revenues, or expenses. Finally, another method of internal control is that BNSF has both internal and external auditors. So I hope you enjoyed knowing a little bit about the PP&E assets over here at BNSF, and thank you very much.